What if we told you you don't actually need to buy a gaming handheld in 2026? With GPU prices rising, with handhelds getting more expensive, and with PC parts still not exactly budget friendly, a lot of gamers are asking, is a dedicated device like the Legion Go 2 here still worth it? Or, if you already have a gaming computer, can we just use our Android phone, like this one here with Apollo and Artemis, and get 80 to 90% of the experience for way less? What is up, gamers? Steve and Skippy here once again. So today we're breaking down the following of these two devices: the performance, latency, visual quality, portability, cost, and long-term value. On paper, the cloud and streaming device may seem like the smarter move, but in real-world scenario, it may not be that simple. So in this video, we're going to give you the honest pros and cons of the Legion Go 2 as a standalone gaming handheld versus the Android phone running Apollo and Artemis for remote PC gaming. And by the end of this video, you'll know which setup actually makes sense for you, especially if you're trying to save money right now without sacrificing experience. For everyone's info, the Artemis is a software that you install on the client side or the device that you are using that will connect to your PC and allow it to essentially stream your PC of which the Apollo software is installed. Think of it like it allows us the functionality of a PS Portal wherein it can connect to your PS5. But in this case, we are using an Android device to connect to your gaming PC. With that being said, let's get into it.
Alright, so let's go over the setup first. We have here, of course, our Legion Go 2. And for our Android phone, we have our 2-year-old phone here, which is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. That's actually foldable and really awesome for handheld gaming, as you have a bigger screen when you unfold it. But you can also use here other mobile devices such as iPhone, ROG, Pixel, etc. as long as you can install the Artemis software. Even you can use your Android TV for this, as we've tried it ourselves. And this is paired with our GameSir G8 Plus controller here we are using as our dedicated Bluetooth controller for our Android device. And this is actually very handy to use as well, since you just need to extend this controller here and put your phone in, and it will automatically connect to your phone. And as mentioned, we have the Artemis app installed on our phone. And then we have our PC here running an RTX 4080 and i7 13700K for the processor. So it's still a relevant high-end gaming PC at least. And the Apollo software installed on our gaming PC. And actually our devices here are connected via a Wi-Fi, whereby it's around 5 meters away from the router, which is outside the room right now, and where our computer is in. We also have a mesh setup, Wi-Fi setup at our home, but it's connected via wired Ethernet at least. And as for our internet speed, so we are running, or rather we are using a plan 700 Mbps download upload from PLDT, which is one of the major ISPs here in the Philippines. Right now we can see that we're at least around 400 or 500, since some of the devices are currently using our internet as well. So yeah, more or less around 500 plus right now, as we can see here on the speed test. So now let's talk about the most important one first, which is the input latency. So let's do a quick demo here. As you can see, we have the Artemis open, and now it has connected to our PC, which is we're currently playing here Tekken 8, just to see the latency for fighting games at least. So over here, as you can see, we are running on a 1080p resolution. So let's do a quick latency test. Let's both push the X button at the same time. So as you can see here, there's not much latency, or there's at least a bit of latency on the mobile, as you might have guessed. Actually, it's close to zero, to be honest, from our experience. So as mentioned, you can use different resolutions on your phone depending on how powerful your mobile device and PC are. But then again, I would advise to use 1080p instead, as the input latency seems to be very low and almost the same as you're playing on the PC, as you have seen here. At the same time, 1080p is pretty much what you need for this size or screen. Apologies, as we don't have a device to have indicative numbers, but at least we have this. So in the Artemis software, you have this advanced menu, and then hope you can see that one clear. You have this toggle performance overlay, to which we can see here some metrics, like if you're losing if frames dropped by your network connection, then the bandwidth itself, how much it's using. So yeah, and then as mentioned, when you're using the Artemis, let's disconnect first. You can set up the configurations here. So for example, we have the video resolution. Right now, as mentioned, we are using 1080p. You can also use 4K. The video frame rate, so we're using the 120 FPS. Then the video bitrate. So right now, on our experience, at least for 1080p, we're using 25 Mbps while using a 1080p resolution. But if you would be using 4K, you would need a higher bitrate for your device to use in order to output a 4K resolution. But for us, the 1080p plus this bitrate is the sweet spot for us. It's a great balance for performance and quality. The input latency is also highly dependent on your setup. Before our current setup, we had our mesh on wireless mode, since we have our PC on our second floor. Meanwhile, the main router is on the first floor. The input latency was good back then. We've experienced slight lagging or delays on that setup from time to time. But since then, we've switched to having our mesh on wired mode. It more or less eliminated those issues. So I would strongly advise to have your routers or mesh set up to be wired if at all possible. Now let's do a quick showcase. What if we're using mobile data? You're out of the house and you wanted to connect to your PC. So let's quickly turn off the Wi-Fi here. So we'll be connecting to the mobile data. Let's quickly do, right now we're connected at 5G. Hope you can see that one. So let's do a quick speed test. So right now it's pretty quick as well, even for mobile data, at least around 200 Mbps. Again, so before, just to add, we also have Tailscale installed on our PC and phone. So essentially the Tailscale app, as you can see here, this one. So it essentially allows you to connect your phone to your PC even while not being on the same subnet or Wi-Fi. If you don't have this installed, you may not be able to connect to your PC if you're using mobile data or using a different Wi-Fi than of the PC is using. So let's quickly try to connect now. So we're still using the 1080p. Okay, so the Artemis is now ready to connect to our computer, even on mobile data. So let's quickly try it out. Okay, so we're connected again. Let's do a quick latency testing. Okay, yeah, it's still pretty usable actually, although there's some degradation on the visual fidelity, since we are using mobile data, but then again the input latency is still quite good. As see here, there's some lagging since mobile data is a bit unstable. So we'll connect back to using Wi-Fi. Now for the Legion Go 2, again, it's no contest as we are playing games which are installed directly on the device, so the input latency is as good as it can get. With that being said, let's go over now the visual quality and performance next. As mentioned, it's dependent on how powerful your PC and mobile is. You can up the resolution on the mobile, but you will need larger bandwidth and would be dependent if your PC can actually run the game on that resolution. Now for the Legion Go 2, which is using the new Ryzen Z2 Extreme, as per my previous video on our review of this, it can mostly play today's games on 1080p with medium to or low settings for 60 plus FPS depending on the game. And the OLED large screen is a big plus on this device at it has the inky blacks and punchy colors. So again, highly dependent on your PC and mobile device. Now for the portability in terms of bulkiness, space travelability, the mobile device plus controller would be more portable given the heavy and bulky size of the Legion Go 2. As mentioned before, it weighs around a kilo, and this one it's much lighter to use. To top it off, more often than not, you will always have your phone with you, so you just need your external controller to bring. Although caveat is that again, you would need to use or have internet connection or mobile data for you to be able to connect to your phone, and it may eat up a lot of data depending on the bandwidth you've set up. Then for the Legion Go 2, you can play on the game whatever is installed on it. As for the battery life though, so in our Legion Go 2 for AAA games, high graphics games, it can play up to about 2 hours on max performance. Meanwhile, for our phone, which has a around 4,000 plus mAh capacity, we haven't really timed it, but it's definitely more than 2 hours, and it's less battery since it's basically just streaming your computer. It's also highly dependent if you're again using Wi-Fi or mobile data. Usually the mobile data tends to eat up more battery quickly for your Android phone or whatever phone that you're using. And then the Gamester has its own battery as well, so which is, as per our research, it can last up to 10 hours for gaming. Now let's talk about the cost next. So the Legion Go 2 is around 83,000 pesos here in the Philippines, which is around 1400 US dollars. Meanwhile, our phone here by the time we've bought this back then in 2023 is around 100,000 plus pesos as well, which is around 1700 US dollars, plus our PC, which costs another 100,000. But then again, as mentioned, you can mostly use your phones that you have already as long as it's not too Jurassic, I guess. Maybe around 5 years or newer, I'd say. Plus, if you're also watching this video, you're most likely a gamer and may already have a gaming PC with you. So you just need this extra controller, which we bought for 2,500 pesos or around $45. But then again, you're paying for more electricity use and required to pay for internet and Wi-Fi and routers and all that. Given all this, strictly speaking, like if you don't have anything yet on this setup and starting from scratch, even with the steep price of the Legion Go 2, the upfront one-time cost is cheaper compared to having a PC. The internet, the mobile phone, the routers and electricity and all that long term. So for the long term value, the Android phone with Apollo plus Artemis wins on this, especially if you already own the phone, the PC to stream from, and you care about the cost and the ongoing upgrades. While for the Legion Go 2, it still wins for Say you can play on the go without streaming, zero network dependency, and it's a dedicated and unified handled experience essentially. But then again, in terms of future proofing, flexibility, and upgrade path, the Android setup takes the cake on this one.
So here's the real talk. If you want a dedicated handheld just for gaming, no PC required, no network dependency, no tinkering, the Legion Go 2 is still a solid piece of hardware. Meanwhile, if you already own a good Android phone, a capable PC at home, and because the hardware ages and maybe in 2 to 3 years you can upgrade your PC, and you're someone who's trying to maximize the long-term value of these devices, save money, and build a flexible gaming ecosystem, an Android phone with Apollo and the Artemis beats the Legion Go 2 in most practical scenarios. But hey, that's our take. Let us know down in the comments. Are you team dedicated handheld or team streaming setup? And if this helped you make a smarter decision, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be seeing you again on the next one.